Hey everybody, this is Earth Science for September 15th. I'm Mr. Sheridan. We are going to run through and review the layers of the sun so that you've got this recorded in YouTube so that you can go back and reference it if you want to before we play some Kahoot today. So I'm going to share my screen with you. We're going to go back to the CK12 information that we've been learning about, and we're going to run through these very quickly. So we've been talking about the sun, and you need to know, some people have been asking in your KWL charts and that sort of thing, how we know so much about the sun. Well, most of the answer is SOHO. And SOHO is the spacecraft that has been orbiting the sun and giving us lots and lots of information about the sun and its layers. We've learned a lot of this stuff since 1996, which I know you think was a long time ago. Really wasn't. So that's pretty exciting. The sun is a star. It's at the middle of our solar system. And when we talk about all of the mass, so mass is the total amount of matter in an object. So when we talk, if we added up all the mass that covers the entire solar system, so that's everything on Earth, Mars, Jupiter, all the planets, all the asteroids, everything in our solar system, the sun makes up 99.8% of all the mass in our solar system, to give you an idea of just how much matter is actually in the sun. So number one, it's huge. Number two, it has a lot of mass. Number three, it's very, very dense, and it's very, very hot. So let me get over to here. Okay, so let's talk about the few interior layers of the sun. There are 7 layers of the sun. The first one that we are going to talk about is the core. Super duper hot, somewhere around 15 million degrees. This is where nuclear fusion takes place. It's so hot that hydrogen actually fuses with other particles of hydrogen. It's so dense and so hot that those particles move so fast that they actually overcome the poles. We've talked about positive and positive, how they repel each other. Well, these particles are moving so fast that they actually overcome that magnetic pressure and are able to combine. Next is the radiative zone. So it's only about 4 million degrees Celsius, and this is where our light particles are actually moving. It's where some of that energy from those nuclear fusion reactions are actually coming out into are actually exiting out of the core. So the radiative zone is our next. The convection zone, if we understand what convection is where hot particles rise and cooler particles fall. So the convection zone is where we are getting the hotter particles from the radiative zone, and they're coming out of the radiative zone, and then some of the particles are actually cooling down and headed back into the radiative zone where they get heated again, and that convection moves up and down. It's how particles are eventually moving out of the sun to the outer layers, the first of which is the photosphere. This is what we actually see when you are looking at the sun, and I don't recommend that you do that, but on a cloudy day or the last couple of mornings, the sun has actually been really, really neat. It's like a reddish color because it's behind the clouds in the morning, so you can actually look and see it. The layer that we actually see is the photosphere, and it's only about 6,000 degrees Celsius. The chromosphere is the next layer as we move out away from the core. The chromosphere lies on top of the photosphere, and it is it's not as hot. So it's cooler than some of the other layers that we're talking about. It's also where we see solar flares and sunspots, which are cooler areas on the surface of the sun. We'll talk more about those later. And the corona layer is the outermost layer. The sun's halo, it's actually the word corona is Latin for crown. So it just, in case you're all curious about that. But the corona layer is actually the outermost layer. So during an eclipse, this is what we actually see. So when this moon is actually in between the Earth and the sun, as it shows in this image right here, the corona layer is what we actually see. So just a quick review of what and actually we're going to move on to just a couple of these things. We talked about sunspots. Sunspots are cooler, darker areas of the surface. So when we talk about the corona layer and the photosphere, those are the outer layers of the sun. And the chromosphere. The corona and the chromosphere are where some cooler areas take place, and we see those on the Earth as sunspots. So that's enough for now. We're going to do some Kahoots today to review those things. Those are the things that you're going to need to know. All of those words need to be in your vocabulary sheet, and we will plan to talk tomorrow. Have a great day. All right. Hi, everyone. We just ran through and did our instruction video and just reviewed the layers of the sun for those of you who I just let into class. So what we're going to do now is I have posted a link to a Kahoot in the stream.
Start recording.
Awesome.